Alright, today we've got another video in the 6139 Buyer's Guide series, and this is a 6139 that was sent to me by a customer, and there's quite a few things wrong with it that we can sort of see from just from the outset without looking too far. So I'll just start with the stem, so we'll just pull that out there. So I'll just take this away. So you see there that what's happened is it's definitely the original stem. Now whether it's broken at the end or not, I'm not sure, but what someone's done is they've got another crown which is the wrong crown. See that there? It's just another parts crown from somewhere, and they've done something really bizarre with it. So originally I think it was like a crown for a 1mm stem, and they seem to have crushed it down to make it suit the 0.9mm stem, which is not great. I mean, that's just going to break again. They probably filled it up with epoxy or something as well just to hold it on, but it looks really gangly. I don't think we really want to use that. So what I'm going to have to do here is take the crown off and hope that the stem is still complete in there, but if the stem's not complete, then we'll have to replace the stem and the crown. But also you'll see here it's missing the gear and spring that's supposed to sit there to operate the rotating ring. So a complete one will have an additional gear there and a spring just behind there, which moves the ring. So that's missing on this as well. So probably what's happened is, I would say, the crown is broken at some point, and that gear and spring is shot off, because they're really only retained by the crown, and when that's not there, they tend to depart from the watch at very high speed. So then we'll just move over back to the movement here. So the movement is pretty good. I can't get too much of a swing on the balance wheel, so it's quite likely that the cap jewels on the balance are totally dry, or all the oil's gone gummy or something like that. Now this one's another pretty hairy one, so we'll just put that aside again for a sec. So this is the movement ring that was in there, and if you have a look at that there, it actually in no way represents the original movement ring. So we'll zoom out a bit there, I think. So what's happened is someone's taken a movement ring from one of the other 6139s, one of the ones without the rotating ring, and instead of putting the right part in there, they've just cut a chunk out of it to make it work. So the difference between the 6139s without the rotating ring and with the rotating ring is that the rotating ring has a much larger crown tube, so you need a larger cutout in the movement ring to be able to go over that. And yeah, someone's just thought the best way to go is just to cut a section out. The other problem with it is that on the underside here, you'll note it's flat. So the correct movement ring actually has a step in it for this model, and that step locks into the movement. So without that step there, this ring does not fit properly. So in this case, the movement was rattling around in the case, and that's because the wrong movement ring has been used. So if we just come back to the movement there, I can't see anything else too obvious or obviously wrong with the movement. So quite often with these, there's nothing really wrong with the movement itself. It's just all the other bits that someone's bodged along the way somewhere because they haven't had the part, or they've wanted to do a quick repair or something like that. So what I might do is I'll just drop the movement out of the case here, and we'll have a look at the dial side. Okay, so that's the inside of the case there, and while it's dirty, it looks okay. So if we can just, yeah, the rotating ring moves, but it feels very tight, so there's probably dirt in there as well. It just needs a really good clean. So just coming over the movement now, and just looking at the dial there. So the dial's reasonably good. It does have some marks on it, but overall it's probably about a 6 or 7 out of 10. And yeah, you can see that spotting that's on the dial there. So in one of my previous videos I actually cut into one of these dials a little bit just to show how they're made, and basically what's happened here is it's had water drops on the dial, and the water drops have eventually soaked through the lacquer on top of the dial and into the silver plating. So then the silver plating's oxidized and it's bubbled up and it's damaged the paint. So that's what's happened here. So other issues here as well. It's got the wrong hour hand. The minute hand is okay, but the hour hand is wrong. So that's from another watch. So that's another substitution done probably in antiquity sometimes, so probably in the 80s or 90s. Also the loom's in poor condition, so we're going to reloom this. And the sweep hand has totally faded, so I'll repaint that to the original colour. And that should really tune this one up a bit. So just looking at other issues with this as well, the movement spacer ring is totally missing. So there should be a metal ring that just goes under there just to space the dial, and what someone's done here is they've removed it and they've just tried to space the dial without the ring, and that never works. So the dial here is quite wobbly and rattly, and that is a big problem. So I'm going to have to replace that as well. And the way these cases work is that the casing spring from the back actually locks into the dial ring on the front. So without that, the whole thing just rattles around. It's terrible. So we're going to have to put that right. In addition to that, I just sort of, going back to the stem, no seal whatsoever. So there's no waterproofing at all on this watch. If we look at the pushers, the seal on there is as hard as a rock, and it's shrunk, so there'll be no waterproofing on the pushers either. They are slightly bent, and that's a common issue. Generally I try to straighten them as best I can, but having them perfectly straight doesn't really make a whole lot of difference on the function of the watch. So we'll straighten those up the best we can and get seals back on that. So looking at the front there again, and I mean that's reasonably good, so someone's done a reasonable job of that, just not the rest of the watch unfortunately. So we can see the pusher tubes. I'll just zoom out there a bit actually. Yeah. So the pusher tubes are still in there. That's good, because they're a real pain in the neck to deal with if they're broken or missing. And because it's got a glass crystal in there, I'm going to make the assumption that the rest of the parts for that to work are all there. So the only other issues with this movement is that I'm not 100% sure whether it's the 17 jewel or the 21 jewel movement, but the automatic winding frame that was in there was for the 21 jewel variant. I don't know if you can see that there. So you'll see 21 joules. So it's probably supposed to be the 17, but I won't know until I get it all open. So the difference in this part on the 21 joule and the 17 joule version is that the 21 joule has an additional joule at the top of the pole wheel, whereas the 17 joule version doesn't have that. So the other jewels, there's also one at the top of the third wheel, which is inside the movement, and there's another cap jewel on the bottom of the escape wheel on this one. I think that makes 4. Yeah, I can't count today, it's way too early in the day. So yeah, that's where we're at with that, and yeah, I'll have some more videos up soon as I always say. Have a good day, and thanks for watching.